Welcome to episode 60 of the official podcast for Guardian 1, a Destiny group dedicated to the prosperity of Guardians everywhere. We broadcast live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I'm joined by Crimson Warlock.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
And Sharks.
Shotgun Nerf is here.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you all for listening to the podcast, however it is that you're choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1Net. That's G, the number 1, N-E-T. You can also take a look at the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you do a search on Bungie.net for Guardian 1, you'll find our forums group, of which we'll also use for both comments and feedback. Once again, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network every Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the show live, you can search Guardian 1 for the iTunes podcast, as well as go into the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out their website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts that's part of the network, including Aim Assist Gaming, TTL Party Chat, Robust Radio, Ghost and Echoes, as well as the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. Guardian Radio broadcasts every Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/GuardiansofD. That's all I have for now. Moving on.
Thank you very much, Hollow River. I love that. And at some point, I'm just going to randomly insert his old Hollow River because it's just sitting here on accident, of course. I will do it by accident. Lots of stuff going on in the Destiny world. I really want to just throw all of Agrios's careful planning right out the window and start talking about microtransactions. But really, what I want to talk about right this second is some pretty big news around here on the Guardian 1 podcast. As you know, River is unable to make it minus every other week. And so I have chosen a successor, a person who will be in River's place every time he's not here opposite of him. And I've chosen Sharks 3D Man. Now, the only problem with this announcement is that I have yet to ask him, Sharks, are you interested? Are you able? Are you interested and able to do this? You know, River's only here, every other week, and I want somebody who's ready to talk about Destiny and someone who's at least, going to put in as much as he does Sharks. Will you be that person?
Yeah, I'll do it. I have to say though, I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm like, he hasn't asked me that. Oh God, he's found somebody else. Oh, I'm so sad.
I'm just going to say, poor Sharks is sitting there the whole time you're saying this before you say it, thinking, oh, I was hoping to get the position. Somebody else got it. Dang.
That's hilarious. Yeah, totally. I'm totally down.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, welcome to the lineup. It's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun in the show. I have a lot of fun with these people. A lot of these people don't say things that I'm expecting, and that's awesome. So glad to have you on the show. Glad to have you as the go-to. You know, I had been bouncing it back and forth with whether I wanted to have somebody who was in that position full time, or if I wanted to have somebody. Maybe this would be when we would invite people from the community onto the show. Like I don't like to push Skype any further than I absolutely have to. And right now we've got 6 people on this call. You know, the 5 of us who are going to be talking, and then the Guardian One Twitch, the Guardian One Skype itself. And so I didn't really want to push it that much to have a 7th person. But then I started thinking about it, and River is really insanely engaged with the community. Like he's all the time tweeting. You know, I was going to tweet this out earlier, and I had just passed some kind of like, you know what? I'll get back to that later because I want to actually have the details on it. But I did want to shout out to the 2 people who applied for the position. I had been talking about this on the show a couple of times since River announced that he was leaving. And to Jeffrey and Adam, I really appreciated you guys both applying. It was really like I don't think that I said for people to apply, but you guys took the initiative, and I really appreciate that. But I did already have Sharks in mind, and I don't know. Congratulations, Sharks. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, if it makes anybody else who is interested feel any better, Sharks has been a diehard Day One Guardian One member who's always been, moderating for our podcast every time, even though he wasn't on and everything. So he certainly deserves the position.
Right. So don't take it personally. Sharks plays more Destiny than any one person should,
Yes, more than anyone in Guardian One.
Right. Absolutely. You are the poster boy for play some Destiny.
Awesome.
It just means that we'll never see Sharks and River on a show together.
You know what? I was thinking about this. I was thinking about exactly that. And what I decided was that because River is so engaged with the community, that I was definitely going to have people on the show for that purpose. And so I'm just going to push it. I'm just going to push Skype to 7 people and see how it goes. And that means at some point, Sharks and River could talk about Destiny at the same time in the same place.
Yeah, I like that idea. River and I have been planning to get on and do some Crucible stuff too. So we need to rub shoulders first before we start going and shooting people, I think, anyway. So
I could see that making some sense, but that didn't work out that same way for me and this guy, Hurricane Trilby. Somebody new to Guardian 1. I hadn't played with him yet, and he jumped into mine and Agrios's chat the other night, and he was like, hey, did you guys see all this sleeper stimulant stuff? And sleeper stimulant stuff? And I was like, no. And then he's like, I'm about to go do it. And then Agrios had to get off, and so him and I went and got our sleeper stimulants. So really, you could just play with anyone, really, as long as they're not douchebags.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true.
So I want to throw Agrios's new stuff into a tizzy. Let's just talk about it. Let's just talk about microtransactions. This is the biggest thing that's happened in Destiny since, I don't know. This is it.
Let me give you everybody the skinny, so that might not be aware of the situation, real quick at least. Even though you're throwing my plans into a
You know what? Just do what you were going to do on those things right now.
Don't have him do what he was going to do, because he was telling me earlier he was going to call in sick and have me do the news. So,
well, the new Battlefront beta's out now, and I was really into the strikes I was doing in Destiny. I was like, I never used a sick day, Sharks. I'm going to use a sick day. You're going to do the news tonight, Kay? But earlier this week, they introduced us to the Eververse Trading Company. Tuesday, October 13th, Tess Everest will return to the tower with a new look, new storefront, and some new items to sell. Initially, Tess will offer 18 brand new emotes. Like the trio of emotes offered via the Taken King Collector's Edition, these emotes are completely optional and won't impact the action in any way. I call it a lie. Dancing always impacts the action. Tonight, they told us also that this will bring with it Destiny Update 2.0.1. And in order to acquire these items, you'll first need to pick up some silver. It's a new in-game currency that will be available for purchase through the store associated with your console. So via the PSN network for PlayStation users and whatnot. The pricing info won't be available until its release on the 13th. But Bungie will also be dropping some free silver into your account so that you can purchase an emote or two. Their plan is to use these new items to bolster the service provided by their live team for another full year as they grow and create more robust and engaging events that they'll announce later this year. Their live team started as just 4 people, but has grown in number over the year and as the need has increased. And that really is the future of Destiny. So they're hoping to fund the continued material that you get with these optional emotes.
Was that my cue? Okay. So right now, just right off the bat, I want to have just a show of hands, a straight yes or no, whether or not you think that this is awesome. Sharks. Are you there, Sharks?
Yeah.
So
I was doing an Agrios. I had it all muted. Sorry.
So okay. So just
clever and just put your hand in the air and weren't saying anything because that's
right.
the app.
That's what I was gonna do.
You out Jez. So what do you think, Sharks? Just yes or no? Is this awesome? Are you happy this is in Destiny now?
Yes.
Agrios.
I have said all along that where are my cosmetic microtransactions to make Destiny more awesome for me? Like, I want people who have money to have a place to throw that money for things that don't affect gameplay so that my game can be more awesome.
That was a little bit longer than just yes or no, but I've put you down for yes. I hope that was it. Jez.
Yeah.
Crimson Warlock.
After a little bit of consideration, yes.
Okay, so let's start with you. You said after a little bit of consideration, what was your holdback? What were you thinking wasn't going to be awesome for this?
So like initially hearing just microtransactions are coming, my immediate thought was Activision better not pull an EA and really mess up Destiny with microtransactions and stuff. But then after I thought about it, I'm perfectly fine with that person who wants to give Bungie enough money to pay for my content if I'm not willing. But I definitely what I'm planning on doing, and this is me, is that when a new update comes out, I will give Bungie what they deserve in the form of this currency and get myself some new stuff. But that's mostly to support the content that comes out and what I feel like it's worth.
Okay, so so there you have it right there. All 5 of us just straight up said yes. And that was pretty awesome. So what did you think, Jez, that from the beginning that this was awesome, or did you wait and find out to make sure that it was not anything other than cosmetics?
Well, they first said emotes, and that's entirely cosmetic, and just reading into it, they were like, yeah, and the rest is all cosmetic too, so I had no problem from what I've heard anyways. I'm a little bit more concerned because I remember, weren't you a little bit annoyed at the microtransactions when they were announced?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't think so. If anything, my annoyance was stemmed from the fact that I couldn't already buy these things a long time ago. Because for the longest time, like I have very little money to my name, but at some point during the year, I have some dollars that I'd like to spend on something, and not having more Destiny to buy always threw me off a little bit. Like all of these other games had, like I don't ever want it to be to the, like, what is it? The Last of Us has like 500 microtransactions, like different finishing moves and all these. Like that's crazy. But to be able to say I wish to buy this new dance emote, I could really get behind that.
Yeah, my thought originally was when the game launched, one of the first things they said, hey, I would love to be able to buy new emotes. I'm sick of these current emotes. So all the people that are complaining, there was also this entire force of people that wanted this from the start.
Right? I agree. Mr.
I do have to put something in though. Even though I'm really excited about this, I can understand why people are upset because this could go down the line of, okay, well, these fools are going to sit here and they're going to pay for this. Now we're going to add this to it, and we're just going to cut it all out of the DLCs. And so they're still going to end up paying all that money for the DLCs and buy all this stuff with the microtransactions. I honestly don't think that that's the way they're going to go, but you never know with a big business.
Well, I was actually going to call on you next, Sharks, because Agrios already gave us his speech about wanting to help pay for things and then also buying additional things.
Yeah, the opinions I don't give are the opinions I don't got. You know me.
Exactly. So what if they took it? What if they brought it to the next step? All right, emotes. Sure, they could just throw these behind, say a specific bad guy. Here's a new emote, and I think that they should still do this, like getting a certain dance, a certain emote for doing something special in Destiny. I could definitely see that still being viable. Like, there's no reason for them not to give us more, other than needing to make another... Oh, no, they've already got a kiosk. I forgot about that. They've already got a kiosk down there in that Hunter's Bar. So what if they took it the next step and they started offering shaders, like really awesome shaders, not this seafoam green crap they try and pass off now? Sharks, what do you think about that? Would you change your vote to no if they started offering shaders?
I'm not going to change my vote at all. For them adding stuff that is just visual, it would be a different story if they turn around and say, okay, well, this is the only way you can get this gun, and this gun happens to destroy everybody in Crucible or something like that. I think visual stuff, because you don't have to buy it. But at the same time, I still say if they go down this road and then they start getting rid of stuff in future DLCs because, they can just sell it to us on a kiosk, that's gonna start pissing me off. They better not be skimpy with the stuff later on just because they're doing this.
Jez, I think I remembered what you were just saying about my being irritated. I was irritated at Destin Legary. He tweeted out something like something about, don't just say, oh, this is fine, because it's not, it's a slippery slope. And I quote retweeted him saying, yeah, don't bother trying to figure out how you feel about this, because this guy says it's wrong. It's bad.
I took it as like you were actually agreeing with him.
That's funny. You must think I'm a total jerk. No, I totally disagreed with him. Anything could be a slippery slope. Oh, I've bought their game, and now they're going to try and sell me some additional DLC.
Well, you could say the two $20 were a slippery slope, but somehow it ended up with a $40 box of awesome.
Yeah, I'll pay it. I would like a $40 box of awesome. I would like a Destiny Pro, the Pro Pack, where you pay a certain amount of more money and then you get an even different shader. I'm just that interested in it. I can understand why some people would be thrown off or think that
you know what I want them to give you a shader for? They should give you a shader that you can customize the colors of.
Right? We should just be able to paint our Guardians like I talked about in Gunsmith Volume 2 or Volume 3, whatever it was,
But all the extra stuff they give you, it would also be nice if they gave you stuff that when you're buying, like, say, the collector's edition that a lot of people just bought, and you get that Warlock armband on, and you can't do anything with it. You can't even upgrade it. I mean, that's kind of shiesty there. If you're gonna have people spend money on something like in a collector's edition or in a kiosk, it better go with the rest of the game too.
I see what you're saying.
Well, what I feel too is if this starts going successful, I feel that for those people that kind of really choose not to really get much out of the store, when you make an actual purchase for more content, you should receive silver for it. You know, like if you go buy Destiny 2 and you get like an additional edition than just the base cost, they should throw in some silver for that to kind of, you know, give more appreciation to those people who do want to support the game and get a little bit more extra out of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. What do you think, Crimson Warlock, if they started adding shaders to it? Maybe what about ships? What if they added ships to this list? You know?
You know, I'm fine with all of that stuff. What I really kind of hope that this can massage is those people who maybe decided not to get the Taken King but are now stuck behind. You know, they don't get all this extra content, and they're stuck with a crappy Vanguard playlist, and they're stuck with a crappy Crucible playlist. And I do feel really bad for those people, and maybe with this change, it might help a lot more people make that decision to get the Taken King if they know that's all that they are required to buy for the next year's worth of content.
I think it has to be a fairly small percentage of people, but I was having that thought the other day, is the fact that like they changed all those old strike playlists that used to be there. So now as people get the game and start leveling up from zero, they don't have those lower level strike playlists to play at, or people who didn't purchase the future content, they may have gotten some things added, but then they also had a number of things removed that they were playing maybe every day, and now they have no access to that stuff anymore. It's kind of odd, but it's probably a small percentage of people who are actively playing Destiny who are in that position. So,
yeah, I could see it being trouble for some, but the more I think about it, if you're that interested in playing Destiny, then you will want to buy this update. You know, like if you're not playing Destiny enough to warrant wanting these additional things, like for example, Flounder. With the introduction of the quest system in Destiny, she has played more in just the last 3 weeks than she did in the entire time that Destiny was out. Like the entire year before, she's already put in that much more time, just specifically due to the quest system, because instead of it being like this unknown, like, well, I guess I go here next, you know, like it's like a checklist. A lot of people are very interested in checklisting stuff. And so she, it no longer allows you to share a Taken King. I wanted to talk about this, but it pisses me off too much, so I've been trying to steer away from it. But here we go. So I bought Destiny on our main Xbox 360, and she's been able to use that copy of Destiny, and so has Trevor, and so has Lucy. And with the Taken King, it's not the same way. I purchased the Taken King on that Xbox, but it won't let anybody else in the house use that Taken King. And this just infuriates me because
I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm confused too.
I'm confused about what exactly is going on, because I mean, Sharks, you have a setup with two. Do you have two copies of the Taken King?
I think you're muted again. Sharks is going pee-pee.
Nah, it wouldn't let me out of mute, stupid thing. Yeah, well, the problem is that I bought Guru a whole new system, and so she hasn't been on my system to see if it works. I would have to go and try that. Actually, you know what? I'll log out right now.
No, but I mean, did you get two copies of the Taken King? How is she playing Destiny right now?
On a Taken King PlayStation.
And you have the disc. She has her own disc. You bought it digitally. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, disc. Both of us have discs.
Both of you, so you have two copies of it. Okay, that's how you're playing it. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, because like what Remy's saying and what I understood is the way that worked in the past was, you know, anybody who signs into your home PlayStation should be able to play any of the content you own. And you're saying that if somebody other than you signs into your PlayStation, they're not able to play the Taken King content on your PlayStation?
On my Xbox.
On your Xbox.
Yeah. But up until now, it's always been that way. But the point I was trying to get at was that there was probably 2 weeks there where she didn't need the Taken King content. because she hadn't reached that level in the story or that level in her gear. Like she got a 160 last word. That was her first exotic, and she was really happy with it. She just now realized that it's what's holding her back on her hunter. But it's if you are past that point, then it's unfortunate if you can't afford it. But it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. $40 isn't that big of a deal, especially when you consider like if you are still playing it, that makes sense. It does suck that they didn't give people a more equal 1-to-1 ratio of stuff to do, leaving the original vanilla content intact.
But I'm confused because if anybody's going to come in and start playing now, you can go and buy the Taken King version of Destiny and get all that vanilla stuff, and it's super cheap. It's cheaper than what you're saying. This is only going to affect people
who have had it for a long time, but just aren't as hardcore gamers as us. Let me give you an example. I have a friend named...
Okay, go on.
I have a friend, Rick. He bought the limited edition back around Christmas time, just before Christmas time, like early December. So he came into Destiny late. He bought the best thing he could buy to get all the DLCs. Dark Below was out at that point. He started playing. Now, he's a casual gamer. He goes out of town from Monday through Friday on work and is only home for the weekend, so he only plays a couple hours a week at best. His characters, one of his characters is like level 20-ish, and the other character's like level 12-ish. He's been a console gamer. He doesn't do anything but console games, and he does them casually. So he's used to going out, like, for instance, he got Far Cry 4, and every time he goes back to Far Cry 4, there's the Far Cry 4 world and the things that he's working on, and that he always has these goals he can attain, and there's, like, collections he can complete, can beat the game, and then go back and do the challenge modes, whereas Destiny is just a completely different animal. And I think there's probably a lot of casual gamers who have only stuck to consoles that have never experienced something like this. And when they go back and find that content missing, I wonder how that feels to that casual gamer.
Yeah, and that does suck. But I feel like this is just part of this live world that Bungie is doing. It would be interesting to see what they would have to do to have two separate servers. Like here is everybody's stuck on year one, and you can't play with your other friends because they're in this other world because they've purchased this content. It's just part of it. I think
I'm sure PC gamers are very used to this. It's just the people who are very casual and have only been console gamers that I think some of this stuff may be shocking to.
Definitely. Mystic Rose said, let's see. She said she wants an emote for laughing hysterically. And I would be scared of using the laughing hysterically emote just because I don't want people to think that I'm laughing at them. But what I do want is in Elder Scrolls Online, there's a raking emote. There's like an emote where you pull out a rake and your character just stands there and rakes a little area. And I don't know what made me select it or what made me want to do it all the time, but I would put on this emote as I would watch my friends approach me, and that was funny to me. That was so funny to me, and there was a ton of emotes, not for additional dollars.
There were some good emotes in that game,
right? And not for additional dollars, and so I can understand why some people would say, "Well, why would you do this?" But I kind of feel like this is just the path that Bungie has chosen. It's a path that doesn't disrupt the actual play of the game. You're not buying weapons, you're not buying armor, you're not buying things that will put you ahead. You're buying things that will make you different, that will make you stand out. And honestly, I was just so sick of those year one emotes. It's mind-boggling.
To play devil's advocate for a second, and to go right along with you saying how you were sick of the year one emotes.
Uh-huh.
Some people, I think, would probably say, especially up until the Taken King, that Destiny under-delivered on content in certain areas, such as story. the ability to do different things with emotes, or maybe some different things with the UI controls. Like a lot of people would rather have like a heavy ammo synthesis button that they could assign things to, or something like that. A use button on their D-pad. And a lot of people I know early on felt that there weren't a very large variety of shaders. There wasn't a very large variety of ways to make yourselves look cosmetically different in the game. So I think some people felt like they may have under-delivered in some of those areas to begin with. And now they're going to, all of a sudden, 18 new emotes. Not just like 2 or 3, a bunch. But you got to pay more for it. So I'm I'm supporting it, but I can see how some people may kind of sit in that seat about it.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I don't like about emotes? Why do they have to replace the point? The point is like the most useful one.
So what you're saying is you don't sit down as much as you point?
Exactly. Or at least allow us to choose which emote we're replacing.
I'll just make them all.
Yeah, I totally like that. Be able to replace all of them and just push your pad to decide which one you want to do.
Well, and we might see that in 2.01. It might change a little bit.
I thought the whole thing was going to be replaced. When they first announced new emotes, I thought that they were going to replace the dancing and the pointing and the waving and the sitting with something else. And I was wrong.
They give us a new dance, and they make us replace the non-dance button. It's like, okay.
You know what? I have been able to chain my 2 dances to where it looks pretty good. Going back and forth.
Create my own custom dance, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm dancing in my living room right now, if you didn't know.
All right. So why don't we move on from this? Anything else you guys want to talk about this? Any ideas or drawbacks or things like this? Anyone? All righty then.
Nothing.
Alrighty then. So why don't we get you back on track, Agrios? How was the Star Wars Battlefield beta?
Oh, I haven't played it yet. That's the problem. I actually thought it wasn't releasing till tomorrow, and then when I started complaining about being Destiny and not wanting to come do the show tonight, Sharks is like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna tell Remy you're playing Battlefront." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "That comes out tomorrow, right?" I don't know why. On Friday, Shark's like, "No, it's out now."
What kind of news guy? What kind of news guy are you? I knew and you didn't know. What's up with that?
Well,
it's not in Destiny.
Right, it wasn't Destiny news. If Destiny had been tweeting out about it.
I'll tell you though, Walker Assault is horribly imbalanced, but we've finally got a Rebel win on that. It's so imbalanced.
That's cool. That's actually really cool now that you're saying that. Especially that means that your win is so much more awesome.
Realistic, because the Rebels didn't win that battle in the movie.
No, it's like this would be a horrible mode in Destiny, but it's like you have one side that has ground vehicles and air vehicles and giant turrets that walk towards the one side of the map to the other, and the other team has turrets that can be stolen, and they also have flying vehicles. And the one that only has flying vehicles and turrets are the ones that have to do the most work, because they also have to bring up like these nodes, and if they don't have those nodes in, they lose. It's very, very imbalanced, and I don't know if it's on purpose. Maybe they'll do a indoor version where it's more balanced towards the Rebels. Who knows?
Well, I'm looking forward to playing it. I think my console's downloading it right now. So
I finished downloading it. I'm ready to go as soon as the show's done.
All right, why don't you hit us with that Destiny news? That sweet Destiny news.
All right, so next thing Deej talks about, he shares an anecdote with us about the elusive Gallahorn of Year 1 and the community's drive to obtain it, and his own personal inability to find one in the wild. In contrast, he mentions the defined path in the Taken King to obtain some exotics, such as the newest, not-so-secret Sleeper Simulant, And he mentions paths to other secrets, such as the Taken War, the Black Spindle, the Kingsfall Raid, and he continues by noting that the Iron Banner is up next, and more surprises are lurking in the weeks to come.
Okay, so really quick, can I bring up something?
Yeah.
So in Deej's language, was I reading too much between the lines, or did it seem like we could acquire an exotic through the Iron Banner?
A secret.
Or that it was
I mean, he didn't really specify exotic, but yeah, secret. It seems like there's going to be something up with Iron Banner. I would totally agree.
Okay. Do you want to read that for some clarity?
Maybe you can get Saladin as an Iron Banner announcer.
If you want to, he said word for word, I can do that. He says, since we began fighting orcs and his dark minions, new achievements and rewards have come to light. The Taken War, Black Spindle, the Kingsfall Raid, Iron Banner is up next. More surprises lurk in the weeks to come. So I definitely agree that he lists paths to secrets, like the Taken King leads to a particular gun without spoiling or anything. We've heard about the Black Spindle, and we know that it's a daily secret. I've been keeping myself fairly blind on the raid because I haven't had a chance to complete that yet, but I know that secret rooms have been found. And then he says the Iron Banner is up next, very heavily implying that there is some sort of secret intertwined with the Iron Banner.
Exciting. Very exciting. I think now that we have the sleeper simulant, I think now when we go into that that heroic mission that said, oh, don't worry about what's behind that door, the real goods are downstairs. I think you're going to have to hit those 3 giant yellow stacks of energy-looking materials. I think you're going to have to try and bounce off a laser beam between the 3 of those. Oh, God.
I can see it already. Remy's going to be having us in that mission for an hour looking for stuff now.
Right? Exactly. Exactly. Look forward to it when you get out of the hair salon, Sharks.
Jesus.
You've got a huge fan or something on you, man.
No, it's like, of course that's going to start happening. My wife's making dinner.
It sounds like she's giving you a haircut with one of those Flobies. It's like that thing that connects to like a vacuum cleaner.
Fly from inside its jet engine.
So yeah, that's what I'm thinking is coming next.
Well, that brings up a good point. That's a pretty complicated puzzle you've got going there, and there was a mixed response from the community. The quest to start it became available yesterday, and then the quest line to finish that, if you did in fact manage to start it yesterday, appeared today. They speak to design lead Tyson Green about the experience. The response to Sleeper Simulant was humbling because we did not predict the community reaction. When we try new things, players often teach us a lesson about how to do it better, and this one had us thinking hard about how quests communicate their availability. Our change is balancing between the secrecy that makes the hunts exciting and transparency that could spoil the fun for the hunters. The quest to start that chain was only available for a day, one day yesterday, but they assure us that if you miss your chance, the first firewall will come back soon. And Deej mentions that that's so much more than he could have told you about Gjallarhorn in year 1. But there's definitely a mixed response to the community about its availability and about, some people were disappointed that it was hyped so much and that there wasn't that much of a puzzle aspect to unlocking it.
I don't know. Those people clearly cheated on that section where you had to flip those things from 1 and 2. If that wasn't
easy.
Okay, guys, it's 1 and 0. It's binary.
No,
yeah,
that's
definitely 1 and 0.
That's what I thought too. But so many people were using the terminology 1 and 2. I just went with it.
I just it grates me that the two options are 1 and 2 when I'm so used to 1 and 0 being like the toggle number.
Yeah.
And for people who want to keep it in the dark, let's not talk about how it actually is solved. So
You know what I will tell you is try it for yourself, because it was a lot of fun for me. You know, I cheated the first round, and then I felt stupid. Like I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I not trying this out for myself? And then I solved the remaining ones on my own, and it was a lot of fun. It was probably the most unique thing, the most different thing I've done in Destiny that wasn't shooting people or just hitting turn in. You know, I don't know. I felt like it was a lot of fun.
I'll tell you what I did, and this is the latter half of it. I cheated because I quickly found out there was more than one. So I just did what I normally do when I'm trying to count in binary and flip every other switch, like flip it like you're counting in binary, and I did that until it unlocked.
that
That's
could take
awesome.
a while.
Yeah, did that take you quite a while?
Nah, like 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Right, it was really easy. I did something really similar. I didn't specifically think to myself that that's what I was going to do, but that's what I ended up doing. And it totally works, and it's really fun. It feels really good to do it by yourself. But if you get to that point where you're thinking, why am I wasting my time on this? Go right to Twitter. It's all over Twitter. It's all over YouTube. You know, like people will tell you exactly what it is. As a matter of fact, I have Datto on like Datto's Twitter feed. It just goes right to my phone like it's a text message. It shows up in my notifications. And so like I will just scroll down and look through all of the notifications I have, and I just knew. Like I looked at that number and I said, there it is. So
when I was where the answer was originally, like before I knew there was a question, where I was where the answer was, I thought something was really odd. I was like, there's something to this here. And then when I got out and I got where the question that I needed to give the answer to, I was like, I know the answer to this, but I'm not going to go back and write it down myself. And I looked it up.
Mystic Rose says, is there a way to know what you're missing? She says, missing one more weapon part for Banshee. It is not.
No.
It is not another weapon part.
No. She's missing. I think she's talking about the legendary fusion relic.
Oh yeah, there's 4 of them.
The initial quest does not appear until you've collected all 4. They are random drops, and from my own speculation, I don't believe they fall from taken enemies. They only fall from terrestrial enemies. I seem to have the most luck with the Fallen on Venus personally. When I was farming my Draxus runs for the exotic engrams, I seem to find the most.
Yeah, and you know what?
There's also some speculation that equipping a fusion rifle helps them drop a little bit more. Don't know if it's true.
I never had a fusion rifle equipped the entire time I collected all mine.
You never did?
I thought you were going to say you've never had a fusion rifle equipped in all your time playing Destiny, and I was about to say, damn.
Oh no, I rocked the Mythoclast, and back when I was still using blue weapons way back in the day, I loved myself a fusion rifle.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, I was like 50 or 100 points away from switching over to being level 3 in the gunsmith. And so I thought, you know what? I wonder if I could just use that farming technique for those 3 of coins. I wonder, because I found several of those while I was doing that for those 15 3 of coins I had. And so I went in there and they dropped pretty quickly. I believe they dropped at least once out of every 8 rounds of rockets I used in there. So it drops pretty quickly. If that's the part that you're missing, just look up the 3 of coins exploit and then just do it. You know, sit at that thing, blow them up a bunch of times, and then moving on. So moving on. Where were we?
Continuing. Well, that was all I really had to say about the sleeper simulant in particular. Unless anybody else had 2 cents to go throw in about that, like,
did you guys hear the joke about finding the sleeper simulant and how to find it?
No.
This was a Reddit post, but the whole joke that's behind the sleeper simulant and how to find it. Wait for it.
Boo.
Yep.
Boo!
Oh, it was horrible. It took me a second. I'm like, what is he? Oh, that's what he's talking about. Good dad joke
Well,
there.
since we're on the sleeper simulant, I'm assuming that everybody in the panel has gotten it now. What do you guys think of the gun?
I don't have it. I want it. I
What-
need more stats.
Oh, you need war stats. The
Yeah.
buddy system.
Publicevents.com.
I've been on the moon since the podcast started.
Oh man, you haven't done the moon yet. Everybody was complaining about Mars.
That's the only one I've been able to find a war stat on. Is
That's
Mars.
hilarious. That's hilarious.
You want to go to destinypublicevents.com and you want to be in the zone that the worst stat is going to appear in before their timer gets to 0. Before it gets to 0. And like if it's a green event, it's almost guaranteed to happen.
Let's see. Yeah, that was a rough one for everyone. And so the way that I worked around it with Hurricane Trilby was to use the buddy system. Like there's the two main places where the war set happens on each planet, and just have the other person standing over there. And it was crazy because when we were out there, I was never on the land that had the war sat. I was always on the land that had the target. So that's the best way to find those for anybody out there looking. Buddy system. You and at least one other person, and hold them down. And yeah, what was it you were saying? The Destiny Public Event Tracker?
Yeah, destinypublicevents.com, and it they're really good with their times. You just want to make sure you're to the zone before it's showing like as an active event until before their timer hits 0. And then it'll count down, and you want to remain there in that zone until it's off of their timer list. That's how it works. If you're not there before the timer's at 0, there's a good chance you could have missed getting into a zone that it's still going to happen in. So you don't want to waste your time if you're not there before it says 0.
There it is.
So yeah.
Okay, so what were you saying? Everybody here has it, except for Crimson Warlock. I feel like it's underwhelming. I feel like it's not. I mean, I don't feel it's underwhelming in the damage that it does, because I crit bosses for a very large amount of points when I was testing it out, and I just feel like there's not as much pomp and circumstance. It doesn't feel like it's going to do as much damage as it does. So I feel like I've been underwhelmed. It doesn't really have that many shots. And am I going to really use this versus a machine gun? Am I going to use this versus a rocket launcher? For fun, I would use the sleeper simulant. Like if it wasn't a situation that I wanted to ensure winning, securing victory, I would definitely use it. But as far as usability, I feel like unless you are an insane badass with it, it's not going to help you very much. Next.
Yeah, I feel like it needs to have more total ammo carrying capacity for sure. Like it just. I mean, especially like it's definitely not going to be viable in PvP, in my opinion, because you get like the amount of ammo that you would get for a rocket launcher, but there's very, very little chance of getting more than 1 kill per shot with it.
Well, and especially when you consider some rocket launchers have tracking, you're not guaranteed those numbers. I will say that I'm going to try it out in the sense of I'm just going to waste my heavy ammo and just fire blankly down down alleys just to see if it does it. Because wouldn't that be funny? Like doing some crazy trick shot of somebody that you don't see that doesn't see you. I think that would be fun, but not as much fun as winning. So
if you had a really big boss really far away, it would be like the one situation it would be good for.
It melts Atheon in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, something like Atheon probably would be good, but I don't know. Atheon's still close enough that I feel like you're going to get more bang for your heavy synth out of your heavy machine gun.
See the reason I asked is I was waiting for somebody to say that they've rocked it in a certain way. I agree with you guys. It's very lackluster, but there is one there's one instance I haven't tried it in where I think that it could really rock, and that would be in tight quarters with lots of enemies, because that ricochet would probably rip through everything there.
Totally, and that would be fun.
You know, the problem
even
too is
when they
since
do
it's a
something, right?
heavy, since it's a fusion rifle, you can't ever get increased ammo with it, really, or can
you
you with
can't.
the fusion rifle perk?
Yeah, I was gonna say there's increased fusion ammo perks on boots. Like I have a pair of boots that you can choose between rockets or fusion ammo to have more of.
Spoilers,
So-
most of those don't work.
Oh,
So they
interesting.
it's like the year 1 increased heavy ammo works, and I think one of the year 1 increased fusion rifle ammo works, but everything else just keeps it at 7.
Okay, so here's one of I got you. Yeah, for that in particular, right? I was
Something
going to say there is a difference between the heavy ammo perks from year 1 and 2. This is worth mentioning as well. For
Yeah.
instance, if you have a rocket launcher, we're going to use 2 rocket launchers for example. There's the Smolderer rocket launcher from the Crucible Quartermaster, and there is the Vortex rocket launcher from the Future War Cult vendor. Both are excellent PvP rocket launchers with grenades and horseshoes. If you just have the rocket launcher on and no ammo perks, you pick up 2 rockets and a heavy ammo pickup in Crucible. If you're wearing this year's year 2's rocket launcher boots, the Vortex still only picks up 2 rockets in the Crucible on ammo pickup. The Smolderer, however, picks up 3. And with the original year 1 heavy ammo boots, then the Vortex actually gets 3 rockets.
Interesting.
So
I think it's a rounding error.
it may be an error, may not be. They definitely seem to have reduced the effectiveness of all of the ammo perks for year 2.
So there's a couple weird things with Sleeper Simulant that I've read so far, is that if you have one rocket and a rocket, and then you switch to Sleeper Simulant, it has full ammo.
Interesting. So
And
you could
if you
rocket
had
launcher, fire all but one, then switch to Sleeper Stimulant and have all that ammo again. That'd be nice.
Yeah, and supposedly if you switch from 7 Sleeper Simulant ammo to a rocket launcher, you're left with 0. So I think it's reading.
So I just
7.
tried your second one. Yeah, you do get 0. Let me try the other way.
And I think the thing with Sleeper Simulant that is kind of lackluster to us is that it's closer to a rocket launcher in like a PvE meta that's nowhere near rocket launchers. They're not useful in most places.
Well, so then is the game reading it as a fusion rifle? So then when you switch, it's like, oh, you're switching from a fusion rifle to a rocket launcher. You don't have any heavy ammo, period.
Well, no. It's saying you only have 7 shots. That's not enough to count as one rocket. But one rocket counts. Sure, it counts as 7 shots from a fusion rifle. Fusion rifles have many.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because it does work. That's pretty cool.
So yeah,
I
you
mean,
can
that-
put on a rocket launcher, pop a heavy synth, fire all but one of your rockets, flip to your Sleeper Simulant, and unload with it.
You know, I like I like disseminating things like this little thing, because it's gonna get Bungie to get up off their ass and do something about it.
Maybe it's intended because the Sleeper Simulant's just like a sleeper in the background waiting for you to finish
Yeah.
your rocket.
Yeah, right. Everything that we think's intended, they go and nerf. What are you talking about? So
That's funny. All right, moving on.
Okay.
Or no,
well,
wait,
next.
Des, did you get to say your piece on what you thought about the Sleeper Stimulant?
I think it's nice. It crits. So that's weird because it's this only second fusion rifle that crits. But yeah, it's nice.
So so what do you mean when you say it's nice?
Well, it's just fun to use. It's not something I would use seriously, but it's something that I'd throw on doing strikes just for fun.
Right, it's a fun weapon. It's new, and it's I don't know. I agree.
It's a laser made for like people from Sparta.
You could almost say it was a Spartan laser.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, moving on.
So yeah, it's inventive and interesting, but I think part of what some of the detractors may have with it is that, I mean, when you look at it as an exotic, yeah, it fits the mold for an exotic. It's unique, it's interesting, it's different, it has a niche role, and but I think the way Bungie hyped it up and originally too plays into this. I think the fact that it was profiled by Game Informer and the Game Informer articles, and it was like hailed as like this year's Galahorn. I mean, Galahorn is freaking awesome. So I think maybe its uniqueness, and it's not just overwhelming destructive power, lack of overwhelming destructive power, I should say, maybe is playing into, it was hyped up too much.
Yeah. Or we just don't know how to use it yet. Like, what if each bounce does like more damage than the one before it, and so you're trying to bounce it off walls to get to people?
That is true. Before the Taken King, all of the exotics that we're aware of all have secret hidden perks. Some of them very minor, some of them pretty pronounced, like Thunderlord makes dudes explode and stuff like that.
Well, and then there was also the perk on Yellowhorn that people knew about but didn't really think about, was that it has proximity debt.
Right.
That's a big deal for especially that weapon.
The Truth has bonus heavy ammo that it picks up. Like they all have something secret and hidden about them that is not labeled anywhere on the gun. So until we know what Sleeper Simulant's thing is, we don't know its full capacity.
Right. Right. I'm glad I got it though, and the quest that led me there I felt was really cool. I'm interested to see how Bungie moves forward, because when it went down, like when it got spread around, like, hey, here's the beginning of this, I felt ravenous. I felt like I hadn't eaten in 100 days, and you've just placed something in front of me, and I just tore it to absolute shreds. Like, and I don't think that this is what they're intending. I think that they want it to be a more thought out and not time consuming so much as just paced, like I feel like it was like I just lurched onto it and I just couldn't let it go. I don't know. Hearing what they were saying in the weekly update really made me think like they are going to continue to evolve this that they've already done. But DJ is right about how it is nice that he was able to say more about how you're going to be able to find this specific exotic than he was able to say about Yellowhorn. Like, he wasn't able to say, oh, well, you'll get it at some point, your chance is coming back. Like, even though it was RNG, he knows that there's going to be another time when they're going to open this up. And whether that is going to be in this next week or whether this is going to be in another month, I don't know. When do you guys think that this is going to come back?
You mean when's the next time this is going to be the daily mission to start Sleeper?
I didn't even know that it was
Arms Day.
Well, the most pessimistic response would be the 7th of every month.
Oh, I don't know that that's so much pessimistic as it is accurate.
It's a fusion rifle with 7 ammo in it, and it came out the 7th of the month.
Man,
it's a little coincidental, but
I like that idea, Jez. Yeah, if that's not their real idea, I think that Bungie should implement it.
I don't think so, because there's no way for you to know, hey, it's coming out next 7th of the month.
Well, yeah, and the problem is making that available to everybody in a reasonable amount. Having it once a month is really going to, I think, distance a lot of players that can't be like, well, I can't take work off today to make sure I get everything done. Like, it's just not possible.
I say once every other week.
Well, what I'm thinking is maybe what we'll see is our Arms Day daily might rotate between specific missions that give you rewards. Such as our Black Spindle was 2 weeks in a row. This might be 2 weeks in a row on Arms Day. And then maybe we'll find the No Time to Explain happens fairly soon on Arms Day.
Yeah, Arms Day might always be the event days. That's a good point.
I gotta ask, did any of you ever visit the /r/search for the Sleeper?
Yes.
It's got the best change right now that could possibly be for a subreddit. It's got everything that was Sleeper Simulator related like crossed out like in MS Paint, and it's replaced with search for the No Time to Explain.
That's awesome.
Alrighty, moving on.
Moving on. So for the next revelation, they go to senior designer John Wisniewski. One piece of community feedback that has been unanimous is that the changes to shotgun perks were not enough to curb the lethality at extreme ranges in the Crucible. The prevalence of shot package on almost every long-range shotgun has effectively redefined the close quarters combat experience. With the deployment of Update 2.0.1, we will wholesale remove the shot package perk from all shotguns. Any shotgun with shot package, depending on the exact weapon, will now have close and or personal, crowd control, or knee pads. This change has not negatively impacted our PvE playtests. They go on to say that they can recalibrate the effective range and research to a way to hopefully reintroduce the perk after some time at the workbench. So it's not permanently removed, but for now it is. They note that John was on Crucible Radio recently, where they had a nice chat about this process. So, yeah, this is the first time that, as far as I'm aware, that Destiny has wholesale just straight up removed a perk from a large selection of weapons. And this is after re-rolling was available. So there was a lot of people who spent, hundreds of modes of light to get their perfect shotgun to only have it just removed from them.
To that question, Agrios, I ask you, is that your final round of things you're going to ask?
That I was just going to say. So they did change a perk previously that made it extremely ineffective in PvP, but the perk is still on weapons and still did have applications.
Yeah, the old
PvE,
weapons.
and was quite effective. Yes,
They basically removed final round and added a new perk because that's completely different.
and not only that, by the time they took final round away, it was on a set of guns that was not going to be able to be ascended. And it was moving on the out. They did make changes to it. They didn't remove it from the guns and things like that. This has been a perk that is dropping on guns that people currently have. People have spent materials leveling up those guns. People, like I said before, have spent hundreds of materials potentially re-rolling to get that perk, to only have it taken away. It'd be like going to a casino where they have a slot machine and spending coin after coin after coin till you got, you hit a jackpot, and now you got $5,000 after you spent, $2,500 in there. And the casino's like, oh, wait, no, we didn't mean to put those coins in there. We meant to put pennies in there instead.
Well,
so here's your pennies, and we're going to take back these, dollar coins.
You call it different, but the only things that you could re-roll were the weapons you can't ascend now anyways. So final round is basically what they're doing to shot package. I'm just surprised it took them this long.
Well, you could still use shot package in standard Crucible effectively now, but I understand they did effectively remove final round from PvP when they changed the way that
and they can't really you can't really re-roll the current one, so it wasn't going to be a super issue except for the people that got the god rolls.
Yeah, like people who already have those rolls and have been putting their material. Maybe they've already infused it up to 300 and wasted all those guns they infused into it. And now
they'll slide further. They'll be fine.
The other thing that I don't entirely understand, I think it's kind of a dick move, is why they wouldn't replace shot package with at least rangefinder perk that has similar but not as effective in Crucible functionality. I think that would satisfy the people who are losing it way more than, say, getting crowd control or something on the same gun that has, very little, if any, effectiveness on your combat ability with a shotgun.
Okay, so you tweeted out something earlier that I retweeted because it was an interesting sentiment, and you were saying, like, you genuinely feel for all the people who spent thousands of motes of light trying to trying to re-roll these weapons. And at first I was like, oh man, I feel bad for those people too, until I realized that those are the people in Crucible who are not engaging with me in a Destiny battle. Like, they are ending it.
That's totally unfounded.
Yeah. The only people.
You're saying anybody who ever wants to be competitive and wield the most effective shotgun they can at any point in Crucible isn't engaging you appropriately in Destiny, even though they're using the weapons provided by Destiny.
Well,
why don't
clearly they're not, or else they wouldn't be taking this out.
Way? It's a shotgun that's been overpowered for months and months and months. And yeah, boo-hoo, people spent motes that they didn't buy from microtransactions. They got it from the game, so they can get them again. And they're using guns that were re-rolled that you shouldn't be using anymore. They should just get rid of that shit too. And maybe they can start playing properly. I don't feel bad for these people because I have been so sick and tired of shotguns for months.
The way you want to play does not mean that that is playing properly.
Okay, but Bungie's taking these out now, so it's clearly not the way they intended them to be.
That's
you
right.
would agree, right?
But they're leaving rangefinder in. They're making a modification, and the problem is that they're replacing them with perks that have nothing to do with the perk that the person chose to invest their resources, their time in. The problem here is the valuable resource that's being wasted here is the gamer's time. How much time did it take them to roll those things, to quest until they got the gun that they sought after? That's the thing that's being lost here and is valuable.
Yeah, but it's time. It's time that they spent to get a gun that was overpowered or a perk that was too overpowered, right?
Okay, wait. So let's take one moment to unpack this, because Agrios is clearly taking this personally, and I don't blame you, because so what I want you to do right now, Agrios, is I want you to give us a ballpark estimate of how much time you've spent re-rolling this, and how many motes of light would you say personally you've gone through. And this was before you got 3 motes of light for leveling another level. This was before motes of light were falling out of the sky. Like, all of a sudden, I have almost 1,000 motes of light, and I was not trying to save them.
Not only that, but this cost an immense amount of glimmer and weapon parts to do as well. Like, every roll costs weapon parts, glimmer, and motes of light to do.
So,
for me,
give it to us. Give us your thing.
I was very lucky with the shot package. I got mine very early, very few rolls. Now, if we look at the bigger picture, I've spent hundreds upon hundreds of motes of light re-rolling weapons in my arsenal. Now, I could have not gotten lucky with that shotgun and spent a lot. I'm not complaining about me personally. What I'm complaining about is the trend for Bungie to undervalue the rewards earned by their players and the time spent to earn those rewards. I'm talking about as a whole, not just me specifically. I'm talking about like my vanilla Destiny gear that they took the colors off of. Like the last round that they changed necessarily. I think they should have found, that's the problem with the fact that they wanted to have all their guns be infinitely usable in their standard Crucible. Like, by allowing them to continue to be standardly. The problem is you're picking on an individual player instead of an entire community. Just because you chose to invest in that reward, you lose out. If you would have chosen to invest in Rangefinder instead of Shot Package, you wouldn't be losing that right now. And Rangefinder is almost effective and more effective in some situations, according to Dado's testing, than Shot Package.
Okay, but how about you look at it this way? Every single person had the opportunity to go and re-roll their gun to get Shot Package, and they're taking it away from everybody. So nobody's losing out.
No, but they are losing out, because if they would have chosen, the rangefinder people aren't getting affected. Just because you chose that reward, your time is now being wasted because you chose to go after that reward that was offered to you. Now, I think if
rangefinder isn't the same.
They should reduce power of Shot Package and still have a similar perk there with a similar function, but less effective. I find that a more acceptable solution than to put a completely opposite perk like knee pads in the place that may not suit the player's playstyle.
By the way, the only way rangefinder is as good as Shot Package is if you aim for the head. And Shot Package, you don't need to aim for the head. That's why it's bad.
Mm-hmm. And also,
And that's why people were running it.
Rangefinder is more effective on larger PvE bosses. Shot package is more effective on the smaller target of a Guardian in the Crucible, is the other main difference, too. Rangefinder allows you to it's more damage to stay on your pellets further, but it doesn't make sure all of the pellets still land on the Guardian. So it actually makes the pellets hold more damage at longer distance than Shot Package does. Shot Package just makes more of the pellets land on the Guardian.
Well, this is why I'm glad you're on the podcast, Agrios, because while Sharks may put in every waking moment into Destiny, you've definitely put in your own specific time, and I do feel for you. You know, it sucks to have something taken away that you worked so hard to get, you know, and part of me, like, I wish I could have been there for the part of the discussion that had to have taken place in Bungie HQ, where they said to themselves, do we just take it away from every weapon from here on out, or do we take it away from every weapon, period? Because, you know, this conversation had to have taken place. And so I wonder how it got finally ironed out. Like, look, we just need to take this off of every shotgun. And I'm surprised they didn't do this with 2.0. Like, I'm surprised that it even took this much further out. Like, somebody said, well, how about we just work with these different changes, and then we will see what's still happening. And this is what they ended up coming up with 3 weeks into, you know, testing it out. So I definitely feel for you, and it sucks to have the time that you've put into it.
And honestly, I'm not that big a shotgun guy. I don't feel bad for me. I don't feel that bad for myself. I feel bad because I know what kind. Like I said, I got lucky with getting my shot package shotgun, and actually, all my current guns from the current expansion are rangefinder guns. So this isn't even hurting me on the new guns I have for Iron Banner and stuff. I actually only own one shot package party crasher from before, and I have 2 party crashers. You can still re-roll them. I can re-roll them in the rangefinder if I want. I do lose a couple materials, but like I said, I got lucky. I didn't spend that money. I feel bad for the people who spent the amount of time that I spent re-rolling some other guns that haven't been nerfed on to get their shot package, because it could have been quite significant. I honestly, generally feel bad for other people who are losing it, who's really going to be impacted by it than myself, because I'm not even that huge of a shotgun guy in Crucible.
That's because you want to engage in the dance that is Destiny. You don't want to just win, you know?
Most of the time I'm running a shotgun, though. I just don't run shotgun. I run primary. When I run out of ammo where people get too close to me, I flip the shotgun and one-shot them in the head.
I play Naked says, well, you can still go re-roll for a rangefinder if you want. And then Ronan says, until they nerf rangefinder. Then Shusky says, I spent hundreds of motes of light to get the perfect PvE 5.5A all fate, and now it's useless. The thing is, though, like the shotgunners, I got to use my weapon for a good amount of time before it was no longer as effective in the content I was doing. And this takes me to something that Dato was saying about, you know, like, did you enjoy the time that you had with it? Like, a lot of people were asking him about Yallarhorn and its nerf, and his reaction to all of these things changing was, did you enjoy it while you had it? Like, it's not going to be there forever. You know, Bungie has stated that they weren't trying to give you one weapon to play with for 10 years, you know? So part of this is, you know, enjoying it while you have it. And what's that?
I was going to say, I agree with that sentiment, but the problem is that is not the precedent that Bungie has set. Bungie has set the precedent as, oh yeah, you'll always be able to use that in Crucible. That's the precedent that they've set. So people invested their time rolling these perks for the purpose, you know, understanding that, hey, I can invest this time in it because I'm going to get this time out of it.
But you know, the thing is I agree with you. I full-heartedly agree with you, even though I'm playing devil's advocate against shot packages and whatnot. But at the same time, they've done it with everything. How much time did we spend? I mean, Jez even did it the last week of Iron Banner, going and getting gear that the only time I'm ever going to really use it would be just to walk around in the tower. I mean, this has been the precedent for a long time. You know,
it was your choice to buy that gear, knowing that you weren't ever going to get good use out of it.
I didn't know I was going to get not good use out of it. They had just done a DLC where you could bring stuff. They didn't call it infusing, but you could infuse it to have it be the same tier as the rest of the armor that was out there. So for as far as I knew, because the way Destiny has been touted the whole time, you'll be able to take this with you and take that with you. It's the same thing. We could all get really pissed off with the changes and them taking guns away. But the fact of the matter is like, there's so much shit out there that you can find and you can play with, and people are going to find stuff that's going to be just as good or better. But yeah, big deal. They're going to have to go out and look for it.
I think the solution, personally, I think a better solution would be to introduce a legacy Crucible list. And in the legacy Crucible list, anything goes. All your old weapons and everything are valid. But then in the current Crucible playlists, you can only use current weapons. And if they just did that from that point on, that would solve all of this particular problem. Like weapons that had problem perks would simply be phased out. You could still make use of them in the legacy Crucible playlist, but not in the current meta.
You know what? They could call it the pit.
Well, they already have the classic and the current versions listed on the Crucible. I just figured you just make the classic playlist legacy, and you can use any weapons in them. And Taken King list, you can only use Taken King.
There it is.
The pit works good.
There it is.
What they need to do
solved.
is they just need to give you a mode that's shotguns only. Rumble shotguns only. Go have fun.
I should note that I only did Iron Banner for an emblem, which I can use anytime I want.
That's true. Until they nerf it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until they put perks on emblems too.
Right, and then it's just going to look like a hot dog sitting in the sand, and how happy will you be then?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I read a post on Reddit one time that all the speakers emblems had perks on them.
I remember that.
They were so sure.
I remember that. All right, so there we have it for that. Let's get back to moving on.
Okay, so yeah, that's everything about the shotgun and shot package. To wrap up the weekly update, we have the movies of the week this week. There's one about the raid, which I'm keeping myself blind on, but by the title, it seems like it's probably pretty fun. The first one, the winner this week, man, you just can't write this stuff.
This is so funny.
It's just one of those freak occurrences in the tower that it looked like there was a bunch of people in line for the Cryptarch. People started playing along. If someone tried to run up to the Cryptarch, they started pointing at them, and people just got in line. It's jaw dropping. You got to watch it. It's hilarious. I laughed out loud.
What is it, like spontaneous? Jez, I'm certain that you know what what's that? Spontaneous order. Spontaneous order. That's what it is. That's where there was no rules here. There is no rule that you have to wait in line to get to the Cryptarch, but by everybody following this line, everybody standing in line, they've created this order. And I thought this video was so funny. And me, myself, and if I was to jump into a tower where this was happening, I would just get in line. Like I'm just that person, and I would have thought this was so funny, and it's definitely worth your time. I think it's like a minute and a half long or something like this, but definitely funny. I did not watch the Oryx one either because I'm planning on. I'm still blind. You know what? Why don't we take a second to address that, the raid. All right, so Sharks, you're still blind, yes?
I'm blind, but if we don't unblind me soon, I'm going to go and look at every single video out there.
All right, I'm blind too. Agrios, you say you're still blind?
No, I completed the whole thing.
By yourself, right?
During the podcast. So, yep, solo, flawless, first ever, world's first.
Okay, so I'm still blind too, and last week I just feel like we haven't connected with the people who are still blind, because after I tweeted out about how I'm going to be led by the nose at this point, because I don't want to wait anymore, but I don't want to go in with other people. Like I want to solve these things on my own or in a group of people. And so I got quite a few responses. So do you, Agrios and Sharks, want to try again this Saturday? Same time?
Yeah, but I'm raiding either way Saturday. If we don't get a blind raid together, I'm going Saturday. I'm not waiting any longer.
Well, okay. So what I was going to say was, you guys could just go on without me. Like I
don't want to.
I know.
I'm going
I know.
to if you don't get your act together.
I know, and I don't want to hold you guys back anymore because it's ridiculous. You know, you guys should be able to go and play those things. But for me, it's like, this is probably this raid. There's not going to be another raid for a little while. They're not. The next one that they release is going to be hard mode of this same King's Fall, right? So I need to make sure that I'm getting the maximum value out of the Taken King for myself. And on that note, I will just go in with other random blind people if I have to. But so anyone listening
You don't
right
have
now,
to, though.
Sharks, are you still good for this week for Saturday 1 p.m.?
You have a team for Saturday 1 p.m.?
No, but that's what's that?
I don't want to do what we did last Saturday because, you know, there's not that I would have a chance to raid tomorrow, but if we go through and then Saturday comes and we sit around and we don't end up doing it again, that's going to be so disappointing.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree. And so why don't we do this? If you're listening to this right now and it's before Saturday 1 p.m., let's hit us up. Hit us up. We need 3 more people who are blind to go through this with us, to experience King's Fall. What's that?
If you're committed to that time, also make a post on blind raids. Anybody else who's looking to raid blind and hears this later and misses their opportunity to go with us, there's still a Reddit subreddit, r/blind raids, that you can hook up with other blind individuals to do your raid and figure it all out with them.
Right, and it's exciting. I think it's supposed to be something that you learn with the other people in your group, and so I would love to have 3 people who are listening to this podcast right now join us for this blind mode, and I will be tweeting out about this so we can find other people for this 1 p.m. It's 3 people. It's 3 people in all of Destiny.
Three people on PS4 Pacific time.
1 p.m. Pacific time this Saturday the 10th. Saturday the 10th. Because I don't want to hold you guys back anymore, but I'm not going to go in not blind. Even if I have to wait another 2 weeks or 3 weeks to gather these people, I will be continuing to try at this Saturday 1 p.m. time. This might even become my regular raid day and time.
Well, that's how it started. Our regular raid day and time was what? It used to be a little later than that.
Yeah, it was 4 p.m. So I don't know. Okay. I think that that's what I'm going to start doing. Will you guys be available for that? Is Saturday 1 p.m.
all day every Saturday?
Okay, Sharks.
You're joking, right?
Listen, if I start assuming things, then plans fall apart.
Yes, I'll be available.
All right. So that's where it is. If you're blind and you want to raid with us, let's do it. Because I just want people to go in there with me with the same ideas. We don't know what's going on. It's exciting and it's a big portion of Destiny, the game. And I fear if I do it, because after I tweeted that I hate myself because I hadn't gotten into the King's Raid before now, because the pool of blind people are rapidly drying up. And I just felt so much remorse and so much self-hatred for thinking that I was just going to go in with this with some other people and they're going to say, all right, stand here and shoot this. And that was going to suck. I mean, at some point, I can't imagine that we won't look up some kind of strategy guide, but
at this point, I regret not I think we should have tried to go in blind, but if we didn't go in blind like the first week, I think we all should have just went in, because the problem I'm having now is I've been turning down like raid requests all day long. Well, now people are getting fixed groups that they're going in and doing their raids with every week. And I'm not a part of any of those now because I haven't been participating in the raid waiting for our blind group.
Our friends think we're lame, and they're not going to be our friends anymore.
Right? No, our friends know we're lame, Sharks.
To be honest, I think you'll be fine just going in with people that's done it, but obviously you're the leader and you tell everyone what to do. I mean, you're losing out those 3 people in the problem solving, but you're still gaining the experience.
So what did you just say, Jez?
Just to have people that are willing to like follow what you tell them to do, and not like people that will actually fight her just to do it right.
Jez is volunteering his time. That's what he's saying.
I would love to have you on the raid team, Jez. You know what? After last week, River said that why don't you just have people who will just tell you what they thought of first. I was like, this is it. Like we can't find actual blind people. Let's just have people who are humorous. But I just can't do it. I just can't ask people to. All right, well, why don't you sit around for the next 30 minutes while me and my two friends try and solve this? What's that?
I think that whole thing's ridiculous.
Right.
Well, that's why you need people that are willing to do that.
Right, and that's what Guardian 1 is all about.
I wouldn't have the same kind of fun though. Like, I would rather just they didn't do that. I would have more fun if they just didn't do that and we just didn't worry about the blind thing in that situation. Like, the fact that these three people are just either standing around wasting their time for us, and we can dedicate a lot of time to trying to figure the stuff out if we're not figuring it out. And I don't know that they're going to be patient enough to freaking just stand around while we're doing that. The other thing is only having half a team contributing to figure out those things and not having everyone playing along in the party. That's only half the fun. Then.
Oh, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and let you say this, Agrios, because Agrios and I went and did Sleeper Stimulant, and he wanted to make sure that there weren't three people in the group, so him and I could do it all by ourselves.
I didn't say that. I hate matchmaking with randoms. They're nothing but trouble. I'd rather just get a third off LFG, because then it's an intelligent individual that can make a post and actually has a mic. That's what I said.
You
went on a tirade about how you hated LFG, and I said I loved it.
Now, I would say that there's a big difference between that quest having matchmaking and the sword quest. The sword quest should not have matchmaking.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I did 7 of those stupid things to get my sword. Bunch of morons that get put into your groups.
That's what I was saying about the strike today.
Yeah, but you can at least get people that they might die, just don't res them. They're not removing from your experience from doing it to two people alone.
You're trying to do that Warsat in the beginning, and they're off standing halfway down the path instead of up there fighting, trying to get the Warstat counter turned up with you. That's not going to help you get it done. You're just going to keep waiting.
See, if you're complaining that you wanted to do it with 2 people, but you'd rather not do it with a third person that's not doing the right thing.
Sharks changed. I said we should get somebody off LFG.
I didn't change. No. You said after the guy left, you said, oh, well, we could get LFG. But you were saying beforehand, you go, I'm going to dance in front of him and hit him and shoot him until he leaves. That's what you said.
I was just being sarcastic to you about that.
That's hilarious.
I wasn't actually going to do that. Have you ever seen me actually do that to somebody? No.
You know what? That's why my dad is not in Guardian 1 yet, because he's still one of those people who will walk up to someone and just start meleeing them, like in our group. Like I want to invite him in and I want him to wear the mantle and it would be really cool, but he needs
to invite your dad into your clan, dude. Come on.
He needs to grow up a little bit.
Well, I was in a party just the other day in the raid, and they knocked me off one of the jumping puzzles because I was too close to one of them apparently, and I got knocked off, and I had to redo the whole thing.
Hilarious. All right, so moving on.
Jumping puzzle. We were talking about the movies of the week. We mentioned the first 2, but I haven't talked about the third yet. The third movie is from a group of guys who we saw some months back. They made a very interesting dance video set inside the Ishtar Academy. Now they're back. The Backstreet Boys are back. They made a very interesting new video to a Backstreet Boys song, and it is hilarious. You have to watch it the whole way through. The ending sequences are the funniest of the whole bit. They're dancing on Venus in the Eye of the Gate Lord stage, and then by the end of the video, they end up teleporting all through the Destiny world doing their dances, and it's pretty hysterical.
I bet they're kicking themselves. They didn't do it.
This is what should have won the movie of the week. Was this one, in my opinion?
I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. That was my thought after it finished playing. I'm like, wow, that was well put together, and it was hilarious. And then I heard like doors in my hallway open and my neighbor leaving, and I realized my computer's really loud, and they could hear me jamming Backstreet Boys.
See, I bet they're kicking themselves that they didn't wait for Sleeper Singlet now, though.
Totally
There's
laser
a light show.
Right.
Yeah, it was great. They were making all kinds of good use of the shade step, the visibility grenades, the new wall grenades that send up the walls of flame and walls of void, making great use of the new ricochet abilities on the hard light, basically showcasing all the great new lighting effects provided by all the changes that came with 2.0 and the Taken King. So not only was it well choreographed, entertaining, hilarious, but it actually was a huge, great demonstration of all the new things that came with the Taken King in 2.0. So it was actually even informative.
It's kind of sad that Venus is the only place that can ever do that.
Yep. Because it's the only place that you can join 6 people together for patrol on the whole planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is sad.
Although, apparently, if you play the raid, which you guys would know, you can get into patrol.
On the Dreadnought?
Yeah.
Cool. That's very cool.
You just can't do Court of Orcs.
You can't do anything.
All right. So is that it?
That is, that's everything I have for the weekly update this week. They did mention one small note. It's kind of interesting. They congratulated Pitbread10 on being the 7,777,777th user of the Destiny Companion application. That's just a huge number of people using the Destiny Companion app.
Right. I agree. Congratulations to you, Pitbread. Welcome to the party.
I wonder if they tracked those people who used the PC like website, how much sooner we would have hit that number.
It's a good question. They probably go hand in hand. Probably a lot of people try the application first and then realize that there's extended use elsewhere. So, right on. So is that it? Is that all we got for this week?
Yeah, that's everything from the update. There's a couple of random things from the community I could bring up. They believe that the Vanguard buff stacks only 3 times based upon the rep that you earn. With your first strike, you gain 22 Vanguard rep and 10 New Monarchy rep. With your second strike in the playlist, you gain 33 Vanguard rep and 15 New Monarchy rep. With the third, you gain 44 Vanguard rep and 20 New Monarchy rep, and that's what it maintains as you continue your strikes. So it appears that the buff stacks up to 3 times unless there's a cap specifically on reputation and the buff continues to multiply for gear. But current speculation is that your buff will only stack 3 times.
What do you think about this, Jez? Does that add up to you? Jez? I think Jez is going pee-pee. Well, I asked Jez because I figured that he would know about this. But apparently we've lost Jez. You know what, though? I was thinking that it only makes sense for it to stack so many times simply because I don't have that much room in my Postmaster. So
yeah, the one time I try to slip away is the one time you bring up a subject that I was actually talking about the other week. So yeah, I did say that my experience was anecdotal, but it seemed like it worked.
Awesome. What does that mean? What are you talking about?
Last week, when we were talking about it, or was it the week before? I said, yeah, it's got up to like 10 strikes and it's awesome. It's like, yeah, I got 3 legendary engrams in a row. Obviously, it stacks up to 10.
Lucky.
It was just luck after that point.
Awesome.
But I missed the what you were calling on me for. Like headset cut out.
Oh, yeah. I think you answered it, right?
Yeah, he was just asking you what you thought about the fact that the community only thinks that it stacked up to 3 times now based upon the reputation gains.
I mean, it's possible. It's also possible that it stacks higher, but the rep increase doesn't increase.
Yeah, that's what I said. Barring the possibility that the rep just gets capped at a certain point and that the buff continues to increase as far as gear goes, it appears that it caps out at 3.
Yeah, that's our best guess is it stops at 3.
Got it.
Till they are more clearer, we'll never know.
Yep, more clear, we'll never know. Moving on.
It's been discovered that you can block an amazing array of things with your sword defense. You can block everything Crota has to throw at you, including the Oversoul, with your sword defense. It's also been now discovered that you can block Skolas's Devouring and Essence buff with your sword defense. If your timer is about to go up, just defend with your sword, and you're good to go.
Oh, man. That seems like a loophole.
That would be pretty OP.
That's awesome. Continue.
Anybody discovered anything else interesting that you can block with your sword that you didn't expect?
After you told me about swapping your sword to your other character and possibly locking yourself out of getting one of your swords, I've been too scared to touch it.
I've come to the conclusion I don't think I locked myself out of anything, if I understand what I read online correctly. But
well, why don't you keep us up to date there, because that's scary.
In a nutshell, to describe what he's talking about, I had gained my first legendary sword in my Warlock, and I didn't know where the next step came from. I didn't have any apparent steps. I had a quest in my quest line I kind of thought might have had to do with the next step, but I wasn't sure. I was leveling it up. Well, I had passed it to my hunter to just go out and mess around with on patrol as the last node leveled up. When I got back to the tower, Shax had a mission for me. I was like, oh, what does Shax have new for me? I walked over to him, and he had the kill 25 people in the Crucible quest, as well as the kill however many, 50 majors or ultras or whatever. And I was like, oh, wait, I don't want to do this on this guy. So I didn't accept. I just, exited out and went back and put my sword back in my vault and moved back over to my Warlock like I was intending on it. And I figured, it must be because that character was holding the sword. Well, when I went back to my Warlock, no quest is available. So when I went back to my Hunter the next time with no sword on him anymore, that quest is still there waiting for me except from Shax. But I had not yet unlocked that sword on my Hunter himself. So my concern was the fact that now he has that quest. Is he past the point where he's going to get a sword himself? But I think I should still be safe, but I'm not 100% yet.
My feeling is that the game would see that you've never done the sword quest on it and let you do it.
That's what I'm understanding, but I haven't actually went and done it yet to say that I know that for certain.
So apparently here's another thing that sword damage can block, or sword shielding can block, that it's totally unconfirmed, but it's from Reddit, so it's a very, very confirmed source. But apparently it stops most of your fall damage. Or not most of, but it stops all but 1/8 of your life.
That's awesome.
That's good to know.
That's awesome.
All in block.
I wish we knew what portion of this was planned and which portion of this was unplanned.
You're obviously shielding the wall of the floor from hitting you in the face.
Yeah. No, totally. I get it.
Simple physics, really.
All right. Moving on. Continuing.
Continuing. There is a new format showed itself this week. We were introduced to Mayhem Rumble in the weekly playlist. Have you guys had a chance to go into Mayhem Rumble? I got to say, I like it substantially better than Standard Rumble. Like, it's actually fun compared to regular Rumble to me.
I did not play it yet. Sharks?
Yeah, I played it, but I don't know. Mayhem's all right. I didn't like it as much as I would like normal Rumble.
One thing that's not made clear by the destination map on the director there is that you don't actually need to take first place to earn your legendary marks for the week.
Oh, really?
Right. It's like how they made the change with 2.0 to the Grimoire. That now, instead of having to make first place Rumble wins, you just have to place in the top 3 to get a Rumble win for your Grimoire. Well, it works the same way when Rumble is the weekly playlist. You just have to get a top 3 win to actually earn your marks for the week. So you can do that 3 times. You need the 3 top 3 wins in Mayhem Rumble this week, and you'll get all 30 of your marks.
Couple of spoilers. Mayhem Rumble doesn't count as Rumble.
Oh.
And it apparently also doesn't count the top 3 for your Grimoire.
Oh.
I had someone trying to unlock it, and they're like, well, this isn't working.
Well, that's lame.
Yeah.
That is lame, because I was planning on going and working on that.
It only counts for, like, quests and the legendary mark rewards.
Huh. But see, I thought the top 3 Rumble thing was... I thought the original point of that was for the Grimoire wins.
That's what I thought as well.
So
That's
that just seems to not be working as intended then.
It's quite possible that's the case.
Well, it's good to know that you don't have to be the top 1 performer, because that was one of the reasons I haven't gone into it yet, is because I am very rarely the top performer. And if I'm on a team where I'm the top player, it means that our team is losing.
Well, you're the only person on your team in Rumble, so...
Exactly, and so that means that I'm going to lose even worse.
So no, you only have to be better than less than 50% of the people.
You know what? I think I can do that. Like aim low, and you'll hit it. And so I don't know.
I actually feel like there's the chance for me to get my full Grimoire now. Like before, I was like, "There's no way, 100 Rumble wins, no way for me."
Well,
Yeah,
like
I only have to be in the
Rumble
top
stick.
3. Like I feel like I can actually accomplish that before Destiny 2 comes out.
Well, if you had been listening to the podcast that you're currently on, you would find out that it doesn't count towards your Grimoire score.
Yeah, it's supposed to, though.
Yeah, but normal Rumble, it's the same thing in normal Rumble. They changed that a while back, and it was so that people could actually complete their Grimoire.
Okay,
Because-
okay, got it. That makes
But normal Rumble is not counting according to what
Yeah,
Jez is saying. Right?
from
Normal
what
Rumble,
I've...
top 3 wins are not counting, only top wins.
No,
Yes.
no, that's not true. That's
You've-
not true.
That's
at all.
what Jez...
No,
You've been grinding Rumble?
I can confirm. I can confirm that you don't have to be top, and you get Grimoire score.
Maybe
for-
my source is mistaken then.
Yeah, I thought you meant only for the Mayhem Rumble.
Oh, no, Mayhem doesn't even count as Rumble.
Yeah,
Maybe that's
but,
what your source meant, and there was some confusion there.
yeah, but the normal Rumble does count. It has counted for me.
Yeah, I can verify you'll get your marks for the top 3 win, because when I played Mayhem Rumble this week, I had 1 first place, 1 second place, and 1 third place win. That's how I got my marks.
Excellent. Moving on.
Moving on. I might be all I have, actually. Yep, that's pretty much all I had. Luke Smith was on a podcast with Planet Destiny this week, although he didn't reveal anything new. It's kind of interesting to hear him talk about some things. Yeah, he did confirm that there was some more hidden content out there, but he didn't want to overpromise anything. And we had that pretty much backed up by Deej in the update this week, that there are definitely still some secrets out there to be found yet.
Right? Like now that we have the sleeper stimulant, we're going to go into that room and blast those 3 yellow things. It's got to be. Why would they change that room at all for that mission? Why would they address that door at all? Let's have it. Let's have it.
By the way, I apologize for the entirety when we were searching for the secret inside the raid of firstly the language that comes out of that section of the raid, and also the spoilers that you might have got from it.
What are you talking about?
I take it you didn't follow my Twitter when we were all searching for the secret room in the raid.
No.
Oh, no, I've been
because I
actively
didn't want to see it. I saw you post stuff, and I would be like, "Oh, I'm not looking at Jez's post."
It was mostly words. The only picture was of an innocuous wall. It's fine.
I'm good at reading the first couple words of posts and being like, "Oh no, look away, look away."
Sorry about that.
You're a good guy, Jess. So is there anything you guys want to talk about before we leave? We got a couple minutes here before we're out of time. Anyone have anything else they wanted to bring up that they didn't have a chance to previously they want to talk about now before we get going?
I just want to bring up. I know we talk about this all the time, but matchmaking is getting worse and worse and worse. Whether it be for strikes, PvP, whatever. And if there's anybody out there in Bungie land listening, you guys need to fix this crap because I've been put into so many games where people have left. I have been put into so many games like in PvP that have been running, and they put me into the end of the game. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll go into one end of the game. The next game, I'll be put into another game. I literally ran like 8 PvP matches the other day, and every single one was put on a losing team. And Agrius is like, well, just quit out. I was like, no, that's what everybody else is doing. They need to sort something out for that. That's the only thing I want to say.
Good to know. Anyone else?
No, I just second that notion. I have seen a large increase of zoning into losing matches with PvP, and it's really frustrating.
But you can't wait for Iron Banner.
Oh yeah, can't wait for Iron Banner.
Yeah, but at least in Iron Banner, not that I want that to happen in Iron Banner, but at least in Iron Banner, you can stay there and you can lose and you're going to get something. You're not going to get diddly squat losing a normal PvP match.
There you have it. There you have
Depends
it.
on if it happens more than 10 times in a row.
Stop trying to jinx the matter, Jazz.
I just think there should be a better method for gaining rep with Iron Banner
Than playing Iron Banner?
than only through wins.
Well, I don't think that you do,
Well,
right?
and
You got that token, so you only have to win once out of every 6 games, right?
Well,
Yeah,
every
it's all good
10
equal rep.
games. But it's still it's even taller climb at that point.
Well, I tell you what, they do have a workaround for that. It's called going in as a full team.
And it's also called completing your bounties. You don't have to win to complete your bounties.
Yeah, that's
some of the bounties.
All right. Anything else? Anyone else?
Nope.
Excellent. Well, then we're getting out a couple minutes early. What do you guys think about that? How sweet is that?
Almost never happened.
It almost never happens. It's almost always I have to say this last outro part so fast, like the Micro Machines man. Okay, so then why don't we do shout outs starting with Sharks?
My shout out is easy. I am shouting out to the 3 blind people that we're going to be raiding with on Saturday.
Nicely done. Agrios.
I'm going to shout out to all the shotgunners, all the shot package holders, all the guardians who have ever worked hard to obtain or retain some specific trophy of their time and endeavors in Destiny and had it viciously ripped from their grasp.
Yeah, that sucks. You're a good guy, Agrios. Jez.
Shout out to the guy that designed all the lore behind Sleeper Simulant, because you made everyone so invested that it was such a letdown. And it's honestly a good thing that it's a letdown rather than people were mad over it in the first place.
I see what you're saying.
It's the whole better to have and lost than to never have had it at all type of thing.
Yep, that makes sense to me. Crimson Warlock.
My shout out tonight's to Xanthos91 and the crew of Aussies that keep inviting me to the raid. They're awesome. I like it.
Outstanding. Good job, you guys. My shout out is to Mystic Rose. Mystic Rose is an amazing community supporter, has been for the longest time, and I've gotten the grand majority of problems fixed with this setup. I still have a few things I need to work on, but I would love to have you on the show next week. Reach out to me and see if next week our Bat Time at our Bat Channel works for you, and we'll have you on the show. It'll be great to have your feedback a little bit more instantly than in text, and I definitely want to get your message out there because you're really a huge supporter of this Destiny community, and it makes everyone's Destiny life that much easier to have someone awesome like you. So hit me up. That wraps up episode 60. I would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.